for each and every one of these board members, Lord, that you would watch over them this year, give them guidance, give them direction, Lord. I pray that everyone will work together as a group for the good of the county. I pray for all of the county employees, the electeds, the appointeds, the staff, that you would watch over each and every one of them, Lord, and keep our county safe. Be with Sheriff Hodshire and Under Sheriff Lambright as they lead their deputies as times, as we all know, are getting worse by the day. So guide and direct us today, Lord, and we just, again, thank you that we can come before you and ask for your blessing. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so as you all know that we need to start off by electing a chair by statute, and this can be done by either nomination or by secret ballot. So I will entertain a motion to elect a chair by secret ballot or by nomination.
Move to a secret ballot, please.
I would support that.
Okay. Commissioner Ingalls has moved to elect a chair, by secret ballot, and seconded by Commissioner Leininger. All in favor? Say by aye.
Aye.
Opposed. Okay. Jody has the ballots ready. And then I will ask her to collect the sheets, and David and Jody will tally the votes. Your face looks a little tanner, Kathy. That's nice.
Yes. Oh, 2 days of 85-degree weather. It was glorious.
Wow.
2 days?
2 days.
They spent more time on the road than they did in Miami.
Not true. Actually, okay, 2 full days. Actually, we were there 4 days. There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
We had a good time, even though the bowl game didn't turn out too well.
We did. We had an absolutely fantastic time. The weather was absolutely fabulous. We're swimming in the ocean on New Year's Eve. Who would have thought?
That's cool.
Nice.
Okay, we've calculated the votes, and Commissioner Wiley is our chair.
Okay. Would you stand, please? Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Michigan, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of chairperson for the Hillsdale County Board of Commissioners to the best of your ability?
I do.
Better sit down. For some reason, I'm shaking a little bit. Doesn't have anything to do with the weather.
Would you sign this for my records as well?
All right.
And then I will turn this over to you.
The drive home last night wasn't half bad, even though the weatherman was screaming weather.
Okay.
All right.
Switch places.
Thank you. And thank you, members of the board, for having
Learning with it.
Thank you.
confidence in me. So, now the next thing is election of vice chair. Do we wish to do?
No, you can't do.
Can't do,
No.
can't do that, okay. So nominations, please.
I would nominate Commissioner Ingalls for vice chair.
Any other nominations?
I'll nominate Brad Benzing.
All right. Anyone else? Close the nominations. I think maybe I need a motion for that.
Yeah.
Move to close nominations.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor of closing the nominations, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I guess we'll have to use a hand vote. Those in favor of,
Or you can do roll call.
okay, we can do that. Roll call for Commissioner Ingalls.
Commissioner Ingalls?
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt?
No.
Commissioner Wiley?
No.
Commissioner Bensing?
No.
Commissioner Leininger?
Yes.
Fails 3-2. Commissioner Benson?
Commissioner Schmidt?
Yes.
Commissioner Wiley?
Yes.
Commissioner Bensing?
Yes.
Commissioner Leininger?
No.
Commissioner Ingalls?
Yes.
Passes 4-1. Congratulations, Brad.
Thank you. You as well, sir.
And so now Marnie will execute your oath of office. Excuse me.
Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Michigan, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of Vice Chairperson for the Hillsdale County Board of Commissioners according to the best of your ability?
I will.
This is for me.
Okay.
Thank you. Going backward. Don't forget, there is a, Beth Sanford has a retirement party today. So,
Is that
Today or
tomorrow?
tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
oh, it's tomorrow from 1 to 3, so.
At Central. At Central.
No, Beth is.
Beth says here.
Okay.
Yeah, right in this office, I believe.
Yeah, I see it.
And as long as you mentioned that, I see there's one for Gwen.
Yeah, December 17th.
Oh, that was December.
That's how often you pick your mail up. Oh, no, I had that on camera.
Yeah, fair's fair. I see it sitting there, and then I see the 21 on it.
Take care of
And,
it.
yes, and Doug's was last year too, I think, what,
Doug
27?
Sand.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
All
Thank you,
right.
David.
All right, moving right along. We have approval of agenda.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
I guess we'll pick them up under other business. I've got some resolutions that I want to go over from past. One of which is dealing with the COVID that we passed that sunsetted on December 31st.
Well, and we've got one other issue regarding the treasurer's office that I think we need to take action on too.
Okay,
That we didn't
that'd be
We
fine.
didn't extend action that we did last year either, so.
Okay, so we can fit all those in under other
Yes.
on the agenda. So, very well, very good. So, any other additions or corrections to the agenda? Did we have a support?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. Approval of the regular meeting minutes of December 28th.
So moved.
Support.
Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Approval of meeting dates and times.
Move to approve the regularly scheduled meeting date and time as presented, with meetings being the second and fourth Tuesday of the month at 9 a.m. in this building, other than the deviation in March, moving the meeting from the 22nd to the 29th.
Second.
And just so our viewing public know, that is to give members of this body a chance to go to the MAC conference.
Yes.
Okay. Any other changes, comments on the meeting dates?
I'll say just a couple of comments for those here and for the viewing public as well. Commissioner Schmidt and I did discuss, whether we should look to changing one of those dates a quarter so often to a afternoon or evening meeting to maybe allow other citizens of the county to attend in person. The issue, though, is many of us have other local government meetings throughout the week, and some on that second Tuesday of the month. And then I have several other committee appointment meetings on the fourth Tuesday of the month in the afternoon and evening, which kind of would conflict with a commissioner meeting being in the afternoon or evening on those, on the second or even the fourth Tuesday of the month. So thus we decided best to leave it at 9 a.m. where it is.
And with that said, I mean, we can, if we see the opportunity through the course of the year, we could reschedule one.
Correct,
I mean, it's not set in stone necessarily, but we are approving it at this point in time. Any other comments on it? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. Appointments to standing committees.
Move to approve as scheduled.
Do I have support?
Support.
Thank you.
The only comment is the one list that we have isn't exactly correct with the Excel spreadsheet list. The one Word file, and Commissioner Indes brought this to my attention this morning. I am on the Michigan Works Southeast. Okay, it does say this underneath committee assignments, underneath Kathy, Chair, Michigan Works Southeast. Commissioner Wiley just wondered if that shouldn't be listed underneath the Human Services Department as opposed to underneath the, but yeah, as well. Just
Yeah, I mean,
it's not in
either or.
It's not been listed that way in the rules of procedure and bylaws as well, but yeah.
On this Excel spreadsheet, I did happen to see Ruth Brown is still on there. Under District 5, under yours, Lifeways, it says Mark and Ruth Brown.
Because she is still appointed to that board and that appointment was done.
Okay, so that is correct then.
That is correct.
Okay,
That
all right.
appointment
All right.
runs out in March
December 31st.
of this year.
Or, excuse me, March 31st,
of
yes.
this year, yes.
Excuse me, yes.
So,
Okay.
so
And
at
that-
that point in time, this body will have the opportunity to appoint
Okay,
a different representative or reappoint Ruth,
all right,
should we choose to.
Correct.
okay.
And that, we will probably take that up somewhere, probably the first meeting in March, so that we,
Have that done.
correct.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Under committees, Mid-South Substance Abuse Commission, we do not use the word abuse. It is substance use disorder, so it would be correctly Mid-South Substance Use Disorder Commission. And I believe there
Which
is,
assignment was that, please, Greg?
it's on page 5,
Of the
3-1.
bylaws?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Bylaws. he's
I was
doing
looking
bylaws.
at the one
Okay.
that was your appointments, which
Okay, yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I was,
it echoes same places, so I'm not sure where they. And then also on 6,
I don't-
but just
We're gonna do-
yeah, I understand,
Okay.
but it's probably echoes in the same in the board appointments. I just want to make sure we have the language correct there as well.
Print that copy.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not even finding it, really.
Okay, it is Mid-State Health Network, SUD.
Okay, yeah, so it is
Oversight
substance use disorder, so it is correct, yeah.
Okay.
And a correction on those two appointments, Mid-South Health Network and the Site Oversight Policy Board, those we actually appointed former Commissioner Caswell
Correct.
to those positions.
Yeah, I mean, they're still listed under your heading, but Bruce is filling those
Right, correct.
interim, yeah. Okay, anything else on the standing committees? Trying to look, see where we're at here. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. All right, now we move on to the adoptions of rules and procedures, and that, we need to make that correction, but I need to get it on the table first. Okay. Someone move?
Move to approve the updated rules and procedures as presented.
Second.
Thank you. I was getting that in stereo with these hearing aids. That was,
Brian, what line item do you think needs to be?
It would be on
page 5. Page 5.
at the top of the page,
Page 5.
well, excuse me, I'm sorry, at the bottom of the page, Mid-South Substance Use Disorder Commission. And then on,
That is underneath the listing of committees.
It's on.
correct, it's Article 3 down there.
Yeah, but this is the one that he's working on,
Okay,
right? This is the one you gave us today?
Yeah.
Was this
oh,
the
okay,
one-
I'm sorry.
So it's page 5, and it's about halfway down through 3.1 boards, and it's the Mid-South Substance Abuse Commission. He wants that changed. I'm not sure what he
Right.
wants it changed to.
It should be Substance Use Disorder
Okay, and-
Commission.
and
Substance,
SUD,
Yes,
Mid-South SUD Commission.
correct. And then
What about the
the
substance?
bottom one where it says Substance Use Coalition, that should be Prevention Works. It's capital P and then capital W, but the word runs together.
So it should just be listed prevention work?
Prevention Works, Substance Use Disorder Coalition. Just SUD is fine.
Okay, so if we did prevention work,
Coalition. I'm sorry, I learned that when I was served on Mid-South, we are very adamant, also in the mental health world, that we are very adamant that we don't abuse substances. We may use them inappropriately.
you are correct. That is actually a forbidden word. Okay. Anything else that we need to correct?
and just said, we highlighted some of the other changes and names on commissions and stuff as well that we updated. And then the other two key things, we're changing the 1.3 and the 1.4 for terms of office and vacancies to the board to comply with the laws that the legislature changed in 2021 regarding commissioner terms of office and vacancies on commissioner seats.
Noting that when we change to a 4-year term, filling vacancies changes, because you have the 4-year term and you have a general election before the next 4-year term. And so rather than putting all that in here, we reference the MCL
Yeah.
Correct.
in the 1.4, where's that vacancies on the board.
So 1.3 and 1.4 are pretty much a total update.
Yeah.
I mean,
1.3, there was some language stricken, different language added. 1.4, we just added in about the fourth sentence down on the right-hand side, or until the election and qualification of the successor is specified in the statutes of the state of Michigan.
okay. Brent, didn't one of the districts, looking at the next one, reapportionment, which really, because we redistrict, but didn't one of the districts change a little bit?
No.
Or did it stay the
Our
same?
commissioner district stayed exactly the
Okay,
same.
okay. I saw different models of that, and I just wanted to clarify. So we are the same districts that we have now. Very good. Thank you.
I would like to emphasize under 1.8 powers and duties, the paragraph, and I will read that paragraph. The board shall require all department heads or elected officials to solicit 3 or more quotes for all contracts which department heads or elected officials anticipate a total county obligation from $7,500 to $23,000, and shall solicit 3 or more sealed bids for all contracts which the county board or elected official anticipates a total county obligation of $23,000 or more. Furthermore, bids shall be in compliance with state law. And they can reference the Board of Commissioners Resolution 16-085. And the reason I want to emphasize that is because I don't know with the new elections and changing of department heads if they're all following this, because we're catching things in the review of the bills that have not been notified to the board. And I just want that emphasized, and if you could also emphasize that in your department head and elected official meetings.
And I would also emphasize the sentence or the paragraph before that, the asset disposal policy.
Yes.
In the past, the board has adopted both purchasing policy and a disposal policy. And all department heads and elected officials are to comply with those rules and regulations.
Absolutely. Brad?
Thank you. Perhaps we might want to modify the language in that, because one of the places that I've seen some concerns about that is in grant monies that don't require a match, because we've adopted a policy that says if there is a match required, then the application for that grant requires prior approval from this body. However, if there is no match, then it does not require approval. But what I'm seeing is, or have seen, is exactly what Commissioner Smith is saying, that we are not seeing those bids come before this body for some expenditures that have happened, and then finding out later on about them, simply because those dollars, so the department heads are treating those dollars, even though they have to be incorporated into the budget, that we are not seeing those in advance. So an example of that would be that there was a grant for a jet ski, so I think $15,000 jet ski.
I think it's about 12, but.
Okay, but again, it's more than $7,500, and it's a county obligation because we have to have a warrant and a check for it, but it's grant money, so it was treated such that it did not come before this body.
Jana?
And I'm not sure that that's correct, because again, it was purchased with county funds. I know that was kind of found out through the whole budgeting process and amending the budget at the end of the year. I think we have reached out to the sheriff as to getting that documentation. I haven't seen that documentation yet. But again, that's not the only one that's done it, and I think we need to reiterate that and make our county elected officials and department heads fully aware there is a purchasing policy, and this board, it's not that and again, if you spend over $7,500 and less than $23,000, as long as you have room in your budget, it's not that this board's going to tell you no, it's about informing the board that it's happening. And doing it the right way, finding the 3 bids if you can. If you can't, explaining why you cannot. I just would like, again, the county officials to follow the policy.
Well, and what I'm hearing is it doesn't really matter whether it's general fund money or grant money. It's, grant money comes into the county and then we have, so it doesn't matter the source. We just
Right.
need to know, and the bid
Right.
policy needs to be followed.
Exactly, and that's all I'm asking for is that regardless of the source of the funds, that we follow the policy.
Correct. I do believe neither the bid policy nor the grant policy that this board has adopted, waives any of those purchasing rules or anything else for grant-funded items. It's still,
Just needs to be re-emphasized from time to time. So,
Monthly at the department head meeting,
okay.
please.
Okay. There's our marching order, Brad. So, okay. Duly noted. We can at least mention it once a quarter. I don't know if we want to mention it every month, but we'll try and refresh everybody's mind at least quarterly. So, all right. Anything else on the rules and procedures and bylaws? So with the changes, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Was I too quiet?
Yeah, I was reading, so, but I'm an aye on the first.
Okay.
I'm for it.
Was there something else?
No.
I mean, I can certainly regress, but did you want to read something else?
No, I think Brett included something that I should have had. And that's what I was like, what's this on my bylaws for?
All right. Now that we've had the Comedy
Yes,
Central
sorry.
moment. Okay, very good. Thank you. Public comment. I don't see anyone today. All right, now we're into other business. Brent, you want to kick it off?
Yeah, if I may, on September 29th, this body voted to okay the treasurer to close her office 2 days a week through December 31st. And we never, at either of our December meetings, we discussed it, but I could not find anywhere where a motion was made to authorize the treasurer to extend that until January. And if memory serves me right, at our last meeting, the treasurer said that she wanted to continue that through January 31st.
Yes.
So I move to approve the county treasurer closing her office 2 days a week through January 31st.
Second.
Go ahead, please.
Point of clarification, to the public, the office is not closed. So if the maker and the support is friendly
Yes.
with that, I would just like the motion to read closing to the public.
And,
I'm good with that.
okay.
Yep.
And I
Not
believe,
closing the office.
Yes, absolutely.
and I
Yes.
believe at present, I don't think she's changed, but I believe at present it's Tuesdays and Thursdays that she's closing to the public. But there is the Dropbox, and there is email capability that they'll still take, and so there is other options. But, all right, anything else on that?
What was the reaction from the public? Are they still able to access and get their business done?
I haven't heard any complaints.
I haven't either.
I have not.
I know one person came in to get a dog license and couldn't,
Yeah,
outside of that.
I think that's the only one I've heard as well.
I do know in making phone calls myself on, again, a resident kind of issue, I called, left a message, they got back with me the next day. So they, they're doing what they said they would do, is that they would return phone calls within 24 hours. So,
Okay. All right, all those in favor of the motion on the floor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Passes 5-0, thank you. Anything else?
No, that's the only thing that I had.
All right, first thing I want to take up is, we did a resolution 21096, and just to refresh everyone's memory, excuse me. It was dealing with COVID. I'll read it just to refresh everyone's memory. COVID positive cases will be required to quarantine for minimum of 10 days and if possible work remotely. Individual must provide their supervisor with a doctor's slip and/or confirmation of a positive test. Positive cases will be paid for regular hours at this time. This is dated September 14th, by the way. Individuals that are required to quarantine due to close contact will not be paid at this time unless they are performing their duties remotely. In this case, that information must be documented and submitted to the Personnel Committee by their supervisor, who will review and submit for payment. All others will be required to use sick time, vacation time, or other. Note, quarantine guidelines vary and will be verified by the individual or their supervisor. Suggested source would be the Health Department or current CDC guidelines. It was effective until December 31st of 2021. So, it has expired. Do we want to continue something similar? That's what I bring to you at this time. Brad, I think you and I talked about this. Would you like to kick it off?
Well, I will make a motion for the purpose of discussion that we continue the policy through December 31, 2022 for the purpose of discussion, because I would like to amend it.
Okay.
Second.
All right, moved and supported. I'll
Yeah.
pass that over to you so you can make corrections or see
if
if he
you-
wants to amend. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. I guess looking at in the private workplace where we were at previously in 2020, we had funding from the state. That funding went away last year. I don't know, and perhaps budget could speak more eloquently as to what the financial cost of that might have been last year. However, I think that we need to start moving towards the idea that COVID, like every other illness, is communicable disease. We have a social responsibility to perhaps not expose other people when we are ill, but we are not making exceptions for a whole plethora of other potentially communicable diseases from the common cold up. And so I would like to see us move back to a policy where if an employee is ill and they need to take time off, then they have PTO available to them, and that they need to expend that much as we have with the close contact policy.
I think that there's language in the employee manual dealing with sick time off, and I would rather see that updated and use that policy as opposed to a separate policy for COVID.
But do we need a policy for COVID for clarity for employees of the county? And I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there. Do you need this for clarification so that department heads, elected officials know how to handle COVID cases and where we're at?
I would say yes, because I've already had one call me here in 2022 with a situation. I think until, I don't know what the right word is, but until it's under control, so to speak, I don't think it's ever going to go away. But I do think we need something in place that gives the elected and department heads clear guidance, especially when it pertains to, quarantine issues or CDC guidelines or, please.
Okay. So my follow-up to your comment is this, that we have rapid tests for influenza. And influenza is communicable, it's airborne. It's not, probably not something that you want to give to your coworkers or friends, family, whatever. And again, I think that we know a heck of a lot more than we did 2 years ago about COVID. We really, truly do. And I think that we need to, we do have a policy, as Commissioner Weiner said, in our employee manual that's accepted as far as absences from work. And I think that we've educated the public, we've educated our employees. If you're sick, probably a pretty good idea to stay home. And you can get a home test for COVID, just like we am for many other things. And if you test positive for COVID, you probably ought to stay home. So I think that's the responsible thing to do. So the health department may have things beyond that. I think that they still can order you legally to quarantine if you have a positive test from a healthcare provider. I think those letters are still going out. Our health department members can probably speak to that better than I can. But I think that we've really got a sick employee policy in place, and it's time to move on to the next phase as we move towards, as it's been phrased, the endemic.
So I guess I'm a little confused for clarification. Now, I know you motioned to get it on the table for discussion.
Right. And so if we were to vote down this resolution, then our policy would simply be what our sick policy is now.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to clarify.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So I'm just interested in, if somebody calls in and said, okay, I tested positive for COVID, what do I have to do? What's the answer?
It's a very good question. I think at this point in time, the best thing we can do is,
Well, I think on that, current CDC guidelines say if
That's
you test
right.
positive, you need to quarantine for 5 days,
Yep.
correct?
I believe that's
That's the
what.
current CDC guidelines.
Yep.
And so, okay, well, you need to stay off work for, today's Thursday, 5 days, so Thursday and Friday is 2, Saturday, Sunday is 2, Monday is 3, so there's 2 days of sick time used, and you're back to work, according to the CDC guidelines on that, based on Tuesday.
Is there any difference whether you're immunized or not immunized? And I haven't read it closely, so I don't know. That's hearsay that I'm espousing.
No,
at this point.
there is new language in CDC guidelines for, and I can't quote it, but there is differentiation as far as if you're vaccinated and you're non-symptomatic, or if you are symptomatic, and quarantine guidelines on that, but it's been a while since I looked at, so,
Okay,
but I
right.
know they have differentiated it.
So if this gets voted down with no amendments, and we just revert to our sick policy in our policy book, it's not going to make mention of what the CDC guidelines are.
But that is an umbrella that would be over us, whether we talk about it or not.
And I'm sure there's CDC guidelines on other illnesses. We're just not intimately familiar with them as we are with.
You're right. You're right. Did we yesterday in our conference or our Zoom, did we talk about putting something in?
In the employee manual, not regarding COVID, yeah.
Okay, I didn't think we did. It may have been a discussion I had with someone else as far as putting it in the policy manual. I'm very reluctant to do that, because then you start putting everything in there under the sun.
Correct.
You've got, in your sick policy, you've got COVID, you've got influenza, you've got...
Have you read the employee handbook on sick policy?
I have, but it's been a while.
So, sick leave shall be granted when it is established to the employer's satisfaction that an employee is incapacitated for the safe performance of his duties because of illness or injury to the employee, serious illness to employee's immediate family which requires his or her attention, exposure to contagious diseases.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, and that language will be in the new one, which will be done yet this month.
So without this policy, it's just our sick time policy, and if somebody calls in and said, oh, I tested positive for COVID, the answer's gonna be, follow the CDC guidelines on quarantine, and it's gonna come from your sick time, or holiday time, or whatever. Okay,
Well, I think, and one thing,
excuse me, vacation time, not holiday time.
with that line in there, exposure to contagious diseases, I can certainly make a note and let the attorney know. We could, I don't think there'd be any harm in putting in parentheses right there, putting,
I.e. COVID.
well, no, to keep it more general, CDC guidelines.
Oh, there you go, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because then it encompasses anything,
Yeah.
Yep,
Yep.
and then we don't have to keep going back to it.
yep,
So, okay.
sorry.
And that, like I say, that, unless something terrible happens, this will be, I mean, the policy will. So the motion, I think, Brad, was to extend this through 2022. We've discussed it. Is there further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
I think it fails 5-0 with the emphasis on using the sick leave portion in the policy manual. And I'll make sure the words CDC get in there as far as exposure to contagious disease, and that should take care of that. Yes.
I'm not sure if this is appropriate at this time because we already voted on this. My thought is in this resolution, there was discussion about being paid if they could work from home. I'm assuming that still goes forward, that's not anti-county policy. Because I think people should be able to work from home still, if they can work from home.
You got a comment?
I think that's perfectly appropriate as long as it fits within the policies. You know, as long as the department is willing to sign their time card that they work from home, I certainly don't have a problem with that.
Okay, and we don't have to do anything for that's not contrary to county policy, being able to work from home.
I don't know if it is, but that brings up when maybe something that needs to be added to that personnel policy. Because in a changing world that we're encountering, more and more people are going to continue to work remotely.
Right.
And again, I don't know, I'm not advocating people can choose to work from home indefinitely.
Correct.
It's in relation to if they have some kind of a illness where they're gonna be out more than a day.
Well, that,
And I think that could be incorporated into our sick policy to give a remote option.
remote capability or
Yeah.
option, yeah.
If it's possible, because some of our jobs, that's not possible.
Yeah, it's kind of hard for the employees at the Drain Commission to work remotely.
I was thinking the
Or
jail,
the facilities.
Or the facilities work direct.
so.
That day may come.
Well, it may.
I saw a robot now that delivers your food or drinks to you in the hotels.
John Deere has said that their autonomous tractors are ready to go. So,
Okay. I'm just making a note so we can get that into that sick leave portion, so, some wording as far as the ability to work remotely.
Make sure you get that to Gary.
Mhm. Okay. All right. All right, a couple, three things here that I just wanted to run by you that are currently in the county policy, and they were passed by, this one was passed back in 18. I'd have to look it up, but I know it's in there because I saw it the other day when I was reading through. But upon death of any current county employee that has accrued sick or vacation time, 50% on the sick time, and the balance of the current year's vacation time will be paid out to the next of kin. I simply want to, number one, make you aware of that. Number two, I wanted any feedback if that still reads correctly.
Commissioner, that was gonna be one of the things that I was gonna email you on, because to me, that's something that even the sick time should be paid in full due to the
Well,
death of
that's why I'm asking.
of an active employee. Just my personal thought on that. And I guess I gotta double check as to,
Well, if I may interrupt, what's the policy for somebody separating from the county?
and that's, and I had
Because I think
highlighted
it's
that.
in there.
It is, and I had highlighted that as well, because there was a little bit of language that I wanted to see maybe added to that. Oh, it's under sick leave. Okay, any employee with a minimum of 3 years of seniority will be paid 50% of the unused sick time upon voluntarily leaving the employer's employment.
What page are you on, Brent?
Well,
Doesn't have pages on there?
it doesn't have pages, it's underneath sick leave,
All right.
Kathy. It's the last sentence before holidays.
So what I just read is consistent with that.
It is, and again, I had highlighted both of those.
I'd like them to remain consistent.
And I guess the thing that I would at least like added into this one, voluntarily leaving the employer's employment, the only caveat I would like with at least 2 weeks. Notice. 2 week notification of leaving that employment. In other words, can't walk in today and quit and get that unused sick time paid at 50%.
So language inserted there that there must be 2 weeks notification.
Correct. At least 2 weeks,
And you were gonna email me that?
yeah.
Appreciate that.
Is that consistent with contract?
There is 2 weeks notice in there. Yeah.
That would be my only caveat.
I mean,
Is that we need to make sure.
Sure.
And I think there was some discussion yesterday that the collective bargaining agreement always takes precedence over
Right.
employee policy.
The employee policy has language in it that says, this is the policy, but this policy is superseded by any contractual language in a collective bargaining agreement.
Correct.
So I guess the collective bargaining agreements, what does their agreement say about the sick leave payout upon leaving?
That I would have to check.
And if I might, we should be consistent because we do have employees, Jody, that are not members of the collective bargaining.
Right.
Right.
But we need to be consistent, I believe, with those employees so that the same policy applies to them.
Right, so it'd be nice to know because I think there's 3 collective bargaining?
Five.
Five. I mean-
What those 5 different ones say.
Yes.
and then figure out how to be as consistent as possible. So,
Right, because, yeah, and I know the sheriff's department has some different holidays than what
Right.
personnel
Yeah.
policy does, so.
Because they're 24, I mean, probably Central does too, because they're 24/7, 365 agency.
Yeah, I'll certainly check on that. I know I've got all the CBAs. I can look at that language and see if that's consistent. And if it isn't, we can change both those items in the policy just for consistency. So,
And yeah, and I would make sure underneath, continuing down underneath vacation, letter C, if you were looking at that policy where sick leave is on mine, it's sick leave at the top of the page. Employees who voluntarily terminate their employment with the county shall be entitled to be paid their unused vacation leave at their regular rate of pay. And again, I would prefer to have language in there that, at least 2 weeks notice must be given for that to be paid like that.
what item were you on, please?
Vacation, letter C.
Oh, I was still on sick leave. Oh, okay. Just inserting the words
Right,
in somewhere.
like I said, coming back to the sick leave, if you leave, voluntarily leave, you're gonna get paid your sick leave. If you voluntarily leave, you're gonna get paid your unused vacation. But be courteous to the employer as well and give them at least 2 weeks notice of said departure date.
so by putting that in there, if they don't give you a 2-week notice, they're not gonna get paid?
They don't get it.
Okay. All right.
And again, I'm not
Just
sure
want-
what
just wanna make
the,
sure.
I'm not sure what the CBA says,
Right.
what those
And-
CBA say about that either.
And I just want those to be consistent.
Yeah. But with the full understanding, if it's not that way in the CBA, then it's not. And that couldn't be enforced on those bargaining units.
Right.
And just for my clarity, that we still delineate vacation time from sick time, or do we just have PTO, paid time off?
There is, in this employee policy, there is sick time and there is vacation
Okay.
time.
Right. So there is this separation. Okay. All right. I've wrote this down, but please email me that so that I can make sure I've got everything. Because you also referenced on sick time, or I mean on sick leave, wasn't it, the 2 weeks?
Yes.
That would have been item D, correct?
I do believe so, yes.
Yeah.
Back to your sick time, vacation time payout on death of an employee.
Mm-hmm.
The only question, and this may be a legal question, is that going to require us to get tax identification numbers for that next of kin to do that, because we're paying the employee as a W-2 wage. Well, look at the tax expert in the room.
If you're paying out that sick time and vacation time, it's gonna be under the deceased person's tax ID number.
Okay,
Right.
I think you would just pay it out under their number,
But-
and you're gonna issue W-2 for it.
Yeah,
Whatever would
just
normally
like
be
the-
on the W-2.
Any wages, because you pay
Yes.
arrears, so
But-
it's like any other
but we would-
wages.
we would cut the check to the next of kin of the deceased individual.
No.
No, I think you're gonna cut it to the,
It'd be cut to the individual,
Cut to
then
the
it'd go
employee.
to the estate.
yes.
Okay.
The
Yes.
personal representative would
Yes.
use the
Well,
power
so-
granted,
because-
and
Right.
Because we say we're gonna pay it to the next of kin.
Yeah, it would be, but
No,
I mean, it'd be handed to the next of kin.
Well, I think the commissioner makes a good point. To
Our
the
policy-
estate, rather than next of kin, it should be paid to the estate.
of the deceased employee.
Because there could be 5 next of kin, if they don't have a spouse, but they have 5 children, those children would be equal.
You got a comment? Please.
I don't know why you guys are making it so complicated, is my comment.
Yeah.
If the person dies, the check is going to be cut to that person, and whoever picks up that check should be the personal rep. They've already gone to probate court and gotten what they need so they can cash checks and access bank accounts and all of that stuff. So you wouldn't make it payable to anybody other than the deceased person.
Correct.
And since we're all direct deposit, it's going to go into a bank account
Exactly.
regardless.
Exactly.
And then whoever is the personal representative would then have the authority to remove funds from that account.
Exactly.
All right, I put that to
And
bed.
let's say, but we
Thank
just
you.
may wanna take out next of kin.
I don't disagree with that.
All right,
Because we're not paying it to the next, we're gonna pay that out to the employee in a final settlement check.
Mhm. Just like we would any wages.
Just like, right, any unpaid wages.
Should be,
That's
should be
probably-
in their final check.
Yeah, and that's probably, that wording's been in there since forever when we used to get paper checks and the
Yeah.
spouse would come in
Yeah.
and we would hand, it was still paid to
To
the
the employee,
deceased,
yes.
but it was handed to the next of kin.
Yeah.
so it's paid out to,
It'll still be paid out to the employee.
As a final check.
so we just need to look at changing that.
Probably just paid out as a final check.
Paid out,
To be paid out in a final settlement check. Or,
all right. I'll make sure the attorney's aware of that as well. I think that's a fairly easy change. Okay, moving along, I just wanted to, this is just to bring out to you, we plug this into the policy that, the 2019 policy that I referenced yesterday that never made it in front of the board, and quite frankly, we can't find it in any computer, but this was inserted. David and Nikki they think they found it, but it's in pieces, much like that one piece that the attorney was able to find yesterday. Anyways, what this states is that we authorized the attached medical leave and military leave absence be placed in the policy and procedures, and I apologize, the 19 version is downstairs because Nikki was going through it. There was language added because of individuals being deployed to Afghanistan or Iraq, and that language was placed in the policy, which will be in the new policy book as well, to make sure that not only did we hold those jobs for those people, but military leave of absence was granted,
Right.
which it is under federal law anyways.
well, we already have a leave of absence for military service in the 18, in this version that I've got.
Well, in the 19 version, which like I say, I apologize, it's downstairs, but it was updated, so. So look for that one. I'll get that. Nikki was gonna scan that. I'll send that 19 version out to everybody once I've got it, so you'll at least have that to review. That is not gonna be the final version, but
Yeah.
we will get the final in front of you here.
One other thing back underneath bereavement leave,
Yep.
Mr. Chair, that, again, and I will email you this as well. I got we we talk about immediate family. We have brother-in-law, sister-in-law, but we don't have mother-in-law or father-in-law.
Parent-in-law,
Yeah.
parent-in-law is on, in here. So that takes care of mother and father-in-law.
I didn't see that in this kind of, okay, it is, I'm sorry, yes.
I believe,
Yes,
and
it is there.
I will double check with the attorney, but I believe that, I know the last, even going back to SEIU contract and then the sheriff's contracts last year, we were trying to get everybody consistent. And so I think that language will be updated in the new version because I know the collective bargaining agreements encompassed a few more relatives, if you will, because that was, it became a bargaining point. So, and it wasn't worth, hanging yourself on the fence for. So we added some other ones in there. So I will refresh her memory on that as well, but I do know the CBA language will be inserted because it is consistent in the CBAs. So it should be consistent here.
May I ask a question?
Please.
What is a natural brother-in-law versus just a brother-in-law? And if nobody has an answer, that's fine, but that one looks, as I'm reading it in more detail, it's like, what's a natural brother?
That would differentiate from a step brother-in-law
With the steps, oh, okay,
or step sister-in-law, would
okay.
be my guess.
Okay, that makes sense, because you can do it for a step-sister, step-brother,
Right.
but not the in-laws. Okay, that makes sense, okay. That could be, all right.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, just addressing my comments specifically to Commissioner Weiner because he brought the point up. We did add language in regards to tobacco product usage into the employee and county vehicles. We had noted that there was an absence of that, and so it will include smoking, vaping, or tobacco usage. So those people who use smokeless tobacco products or nicotine products that practice will be prohibited in the new manual.
Good point. Thank you.
And that's all in county vehicles, including sheriffs
All county-owned vehicles.
All
and
county-owned
maintenance
vehicles.
vehicles?
Yes, all county-owned
Because,
vehicles.
yes,
And
because, well,
a
even,
lawnmower?
state statute prohibits, while in the workplace, smoking in a confined environment.
So are we talking about on a lawnmower and a mule? Hey,
Excuse me.
okay,
But
That's not a confined space. 'cause
It's not
those
a
are
confined
open area.
space, but we can discuss policy that would prohibit the use of those products while in the course of employment.
The problem with that, Commissioner, in the course of employment becomes, and think about this from a work comp perspective, we have an employee who goes out on their break, which they are obligated, and they trip and fall. Is that a work comp injury while they are on break? So it's the course of their employment. So are we then prohibiting them from having a smoke break? And that's a hill I'm not willing to die on, okay? I mean, that is not a hill that I am willing to die on, because I know some of those employees that stand outside the courthouse door, and I would rather tangle with my black belt than tangle with one of them on that issue.
Okay. Point taken. All right, that's all I had for other business. Was there anything else that anyone wanted to bring up? Doug? Brent? Kathy?
I'm good.
Brad?
Good?
All right, we'll see you all on the 11th.
Tuesday.
And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you one and all.